Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and welcome to the Game Week 21 episode of Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid, the video series where we look at how best to use our transfers, really. That's basically all this series is all about, right? So guys, if you do enjoy this video, please do leave a like, please do subscribe if you're new around here as well. But without further ado, let's have a look at how this video works. So buys are players you probably don't have but should consider bringing in, sells are players you probably have but should consider removing, keeps are players you probably have but you should actually keep these players, and avoids are players pretty hyped up right now. I actually think you should avoid getting these players entirely. So you guys probably know the gist of it by now, so that's why I went through that reasonably quickly. But yeah, before we go any further, I should just say we have got a lot of double game weeks coming up. There will be double game weeks in Game Week 21 and in Game Week 22. We don't know exactly where they're going to be yet. It's probably best to wait until the last minute again to make your transfers, just in case, one, if there's cancellations, but two, in case there's any announcements for double game weeks, because that's going to be a huge part of what helps us make our decisions this week. Is going to be double game weeks and where they end up. But I'm going to do my best to make some predictions and give some good advice in this video anyway. So guys, yeah, without further ado, let's start you off with some buys. So our first buy is Jarrod Bowen. You guys who have watched me for a while know that I really rate Bowen. I've been hyping him up for a while. But I think finally, after the performance against Watford, this is probably the best time to convince the doubters. Surely by now there's no doubt that this guy is different gravy. Great technical ability, creative, willing to take shots on, improving, and perhaps more importantly, versatile, able to play as a winger, cutting in, taking shots, create chances, but also to play as a striker whenever Antonio is absent is a really, really big important factor as well. And even with Antonio on the pitch, we see Antonio dropping a little bit deeper, leaving Bowen as the primary West Ham attacking threat, I guess. It's clear to me that he is kind of the key attacker at West Ham, in the best West Ham team, I suppose, we've seen in like 20 years, right? The fixtures also look great here. A depleted Crystal Palace, Leeds at home after that, followed by United, Watford, Leicester and Newcastle. So whether you're invested in the West Ham attack already or not, I still think you should have Bowen for this run. And then we have the prospect of double game weeks. West Ham's game in hand is Norwich at home. Not a bad fixture at all. It's extremely likely that this Norwich fixture will either be squeezed into Game Week 21 or Game Week 22. I don't know which one it will be. We could even have a surprise double game week for Bowen this game week after the deadline. If that's the case, Bowen instantly, he kind of becomes top candidate for Game Week 21 captaincy, right? Bowen's fitness levels also give us confidence that he can play 2 full games within a week with no problem. Having him in your team is good as it is, but add that double game week to the mix and he becomes arguably essential. So if you haven't grabbed him yet, grab him now. My next buy is Édouard. Could this possibly be the solution to our forward problems? We've kind of been searching for a forward to come in and be reliable. This could be it, particularly if Palace have a double game week this game week, which again is a strong possibility. Édouard would have a double game week versus a West Ham team that is struggling defensively and a second game against our regular whipping boys Watford. So 2 great fixtures in which you'd expect him to start both, particularly with Zaha leaving for AFCON. So a game week 22 double is kind of less likely, but if you're planning on free hitting in Game Week 22, this actually kind of goes to your advantage. And then after Liverpool in Game Week 23, Édouard faces Norwich, Brentford, Chelsea and Burnley. So although you may not want to start him every single game, if you're like me and you're kind of running a fairly strong squad, he makes a really good rotation option for those easier fixtures at 6.3 million. The underlying stats look good too among forwards. Nobody has taken as many shots as Édouard's 13 in the past 5 game weeks. He also ranks first for shots in the box, third for big chances, third for expected goals, and first for key passes as well. So across the board, really a high-performing forward, compared to all of the other guys. I know it's kind of difficult to make exact judgments with all players having played slightly different amounts of games, but if we get confirmation of a Palace double game week 21, then I think he shoots literally to the top of our shopping list as a real differential too. And if not, there's always that smaller but very real possibility of a double game week 22 as well. Onto some sells, we've got Reece James, and even if he wasn't injured, we'd still be strongly considering selling James, right? Chelsea defenders just not where it's at right now, and with 3 tough fixtures followed by 2 blank game weeks due to the Club World Cup, they're just bad players to own in general. But James unfortunately did pick up a hamstring injury, which meant he had to leave the left the stadium on crutches, so it's really not looking good there. I really wouldn't expect him to see him in action for a few game weeks, and after that, we of course have the blanks anyway. So it's an easy sell. I'm sure we can all agree, so I'm not going to dwell on that too much. But I think the real question becomes, who do we replace him with? I think that kind of depends on your chip strategy. If you're planning on free hitting in game week 22, you might want to consider going for a defender that is likely to double this game week. The problem is that the teams likely to double this game week don't exactly have great defensive. A Burnley defender is a good contender since they're likely to have many double game weeks coming up, with so many of their fixtures having been rescheduled. Their defence has shown slightly better form in recent weeks too, so, you know, could Matt Lowton be a nice budget answer? If Leicester's defence can improve, what about Luke Thomas? I don't know, maybe that seems a little bit more speculative. Tyrick Mitchell maybe? If you're not too worried about targeting Game Week 21 doubles, or you know you're not free hitting in Game Week 22, I think that actually opens up you up for a few more options, to be honest. It opens it up a little bit more. So Spurs and Aston Villa would probably be the defences to target. Both teams have good fixtures in general, and also a high chance of doubling in Game Week 22. I'm actually not so keen on Reguilon. I know a lot of you guys will probably be thinking about Reguilon. I'm not so keen on him personally. I think he will be dropped at the earliest opportunity since his performances have been kind of poor. Emerson Royale could be a great shout. Maybe Ben Davies. From Aston Villa, we're probably looking at Matty Cash, really, aren't we? He's been getting into some great positions, and he's kind of the best attacking threat out of Villa's defenders, right? I think Matt Target is also an option if you're trying to save some money, but I think Cash is the preference there out of the Aston Villa defenders, and that basically concludes the defenders I would be looking at as Reece James replacements. Unless you guys have any other suggestions that you might think might be worth having a look at, let me know in the comments, and yeah, we'll have a look at them as well. My next sell is Bernardo Silva. Bernardo owners, you guys are probably really frustrated right now since KDB has come back into the team. He's basically become a bit of a useless FPL asset, playing so deep, not being given as much creative freedom. It's not just creative freedom, it's freedom at all. Freedom to get in the box, freedom to do anything. And despite City scoring a wealth of goals, and City are scoring a lot of goals, Bernardo is never looking like getting close to the score sheet. So whether you're someone who uses the eye test or looks at the stats, whatever camp you're in, Bernardo kind of looks like a liability in your FPL teams right now. Midfielders seem to be scoring the most points at the moment, which is pretty normal. So it's crucial we have the best midfielders. The midfield positions are now the most valuable at this exact moment, and Bernardo is just not one of those valuable midfielders. He's essentially wasting a midfield slot and a significant part of your budget as well. In addition to this, we know City are not due any double game weeks, so over the next 2 game weeks, where we're going to see a lot of double game weeks, a lot of players will be having 2 fixtures within the space of 1 game week. City will not be one of those teams. It's a good time to jump on those teams who have doubles, and even though there is a lot of mystery right now around who are the teams that are going to get the doubles, we do know for sure that City are not going to be one of those teams. So again, I think it's an easy sell as long as you have no other fires in your team. On to some keeps. We're going to start off with Mo Salah. I was kind of really surprised to see Salah as one of the most sold players so far this game week. I can't really get my head around it. Just because he scored a 0-pointer doesn't suddenly make him a bad player, right? Salah was incredibly unlucky not to pick up points against Leicester. He was seriously unlucky to have his game called off on the week before that. And, before that, he was the talk of FPL. What happened? Are people really worried about this Chelsea game? If so, why? Chelsea are not the impenetrable force we saw earlier on in the season. Their defensive form has plummeted, and now with the injury to Reece James as well, it's only going to get worse for them. I see no reason why Salah can't thrive against Chelsea. His matchup is either against Alonso, who is a bit of a defensive liability, or some other random Chelsea player who is going to be stuck out of position in the left wing back position. And Chelsea are just kind of looking a little bit out of sorts right now. I don't think the confidence in the manager is fully there at the moment. So if I had Salah, I would seriously consider captaining him against Chelsea too, and definitely not selling him. After that, we have AFCON. At that point, yes, you can reopen the no Salah conversation, but if you've kept him this long, I think you have to at least give him this game week too. My next keep is Ollie Watkins, another popular transfer out this week. Again, I think anyone transferring out Watkins must be kind of crazy. You've held him for a blank game week and a game against Chelsea and then another blank, and now you want to sell? I actually thought he looked pretty good against Chelsea in that Chelsea game, and the fact that he's now had 2 blank game weeks is actually a good thing for Watkins going forward. If we're looking towards the future, that's a good thing because it means that he now has games against Burnley and Leeds that will need to be squeezed in as double game week somewhere, probably quite soon. A double game week 21 is unlikely for Aston Villa, but a game week 22 double is really on the cards right now, where Villa would play United and then one of Leeds or Burnley, and that's not too bad, right? The fixtures thereafter are very good too. Everton, Leeds, Newcastle and Watford, all teams capable of conceding a few goals. And if you kind of want an Aston Villa attacker, who else but Watkins fills that void? Now, from voids to avoid, Emmanuel Dennis is our first avoid. Now, Dennis, he's back. He's making another appearance on the avoid list, boys, and for very good reason. Firstly, he is the 3rd most transferred player in so far this game week. So he's a super popular transfer pick that so many people seem to be going for ahead of game week 21. Your friends, your colleagues, your mini-league rivals are all falling into a Dennis-shaped trap, I guess, because they don't know that Dennis has been called up to play for Nigeria in the Africa Cup of Nations, and he's going to ship off immediately following the Spurs game. So new Dennis owners will have him for a total of 1 tough game before he becomes unavailable to play Premier League matches for at least 2 game weeks, possibly even more if Nigeria do well. You may think Dennis is a great pick for 1 week, but is it really worth it? We're kind of stretched thinly as it is in terms of available player a lot of the time. We want to have as many players available in our FPL squad as possible. Do you really want to spend 6 million on what becomes a dead spot after this game week? Even if Watford get a nice double game week this week as well, we know that Watford are due some nice tasty double game weeks. Dennis won't even be able to play the second game if Watford were to get a game week 21 double. You know, he wouldn't even be available for the entirety of the double game week, right? So it's all kind of he wouldn't be available for the second game. So it's kind of all a bit of a pointless transfer where there's so many opportunities elsewhere. And to quickly address this as well, because I know a few people will say in the comments, yes, Ranieri is desperately trying to make sure Dennis doesn't go to AFCON, but Dennis has already expressed his excitement of a call-up and the fact that he's going to AFCON on social media, and the Nigeria FA as well. They're apparently confident that he can't be stopped and he will be joining the Nigeria squad. So I certainly wouldn't be betting my house on him staying in Watford after this game week unless we hear something very different before the game week 21 deadline. So Dennis has to go down as an avoid. He's going to be shipping off to AFCON in all likeliness, and yeah, that's just going to be bad news for you. And my final avoid is Kasper Schmeichel, knee-jerk of the week contender, maybe. I don't usually recommend a goalkeeper transfer at the best of times, but surely it's got to be some kind of practical joke how many people are transferring in Schmeichel this week. Yes, he got a lovely 15-pointer last game week due to a very rare penalty save, but Leicester have a total of 3 clean sheets in 20 game weeks. They have been one of the worst defences, if not the worst defence in the league in FPL terms. And it's not even like Schmeichel is making a lot of saves due to a bad defence in general. He's having a poor season. He's letting in more goals than is expected of him usually, and all of this is translated into consistently poor FPL scores. Don't let a fluky 15-pointer get in the way of a string of 1 and 2 pointers that came in game weeks before. I don't even really understand why who people are transferring out to get Schmeichel in. As far as I know, none of the popular goalkeepers are blanking or injured, so which goalkeeper needs to be transferred out right now? I'm not really sure. Is it fixture related? That kind of seems silly too. Goalkeepers are very much a set and forget position, so typically you shouldn't really be looking at short-term fixture runs for goalkeepers. Do you really want to bring him in and have to kind of keep him as one of the worst performing goalkeepers in FPL this season? Do you really want to be stuck with that in your team? Surely not. This is kind of madness. Don't do it, guys. And even if you are targeting potential double game weeks or whatever, a 2-pointer and a 1-pointer in a double game week is still a 3-pointer. This move kind of feels like FPL suicide to me, especially if we're kind of looking in the long term. So yeah, definitely got to be an avoid from my perspective. So in summary, guys, I think all I can do is reiterate that we need to wait as close to the deadline as possible. You know, maybe not within 5 minutes of the deadline, just in case we get another horrible crash situation again. But certainly as late as feasibly possible. If you can save your transfers to the final hour of before deadline, I think that would be a good thing. The double game weeks should define our transfer moves this week and next. It'll be a pretty simple process of selling players who we don't like and who have single game weeks, and trying to buy in those players that we like who have double game weeks, and of course keeping the players with doubles and avoiding the players with singles. Also, pay close attention to players shipping off to Afghan. This will be their last game. This game at the weekend will be their last game, so you might want to think about removing them too. There's certainly players that you could be willing to sacrifice if needed. And that is the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy what you saw today, please do leave a like and please do subscribe as well. We've got team selection video tomorrow, and I can't promise you a deadline stream because it will be on New Year's Day, and I am going to a New Year's Eve party, so I'm not sure if I'll be in the best states of mind to do a deadline stream. I mean, I don't even know if I'll be in the best state of mind to make my transfers. Making transfers hungover is a stressful experience, as a lot of you guys probably experienced on Boxing Day. But it's fine. I'm sure we'll all get over it. But don't drink an FPL. That's all the advice I can give on that particular thing. So if you are out and partying on New Year's Eve, don't do the transfers then. Don't do the transfers then. But there you go, guys. That's all I've got to say today. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow for the team selection video. See you later, mates. Bye-bye.